Welcome back to the garden, everybody. It is late January and we're in one of these January thaws. And I just thought it would be fun to show you after a big snowstorm, some deep, bitter cold, 2 weeks below freezing. Wanted to show you what it looks like underneath these tunnels where we have greens planted from the fall. We've got our spinach here. It is chilly out, obviously based on how I'm dressed, but these tunnels warm things up and allow us to harvest these spinaches whenever it's sunny out and warm enough. So I've got two types of spinach that, this stuff reliably makes it through the winter every year. We're going to open up the other tunnel in a sec to see the lettuce, which is more hit and miss, but is definitely made it through this year. I've also got kale and some onions that I'm experimenting with here, but this spinach has been feeding us all winter. I come out every few weeks and harvest this, and it is just a treat, really, to eat this stuff. So there is some damage. Spinach reliably survives, but you can definitely see some of the older leaves didn't make it. The younger leaves up here show some damage on here, but in the core, we can remove these damaged leaves and these will regrow and these will continue producing great spinach until April or May. So this is a really reliable crop for this, for here in the Midwest, cold places around the world, really, to have over winter in a little tunnel like this. There are a couple ways that you can harvest the spinach, and one way is to take just the outer big leaves from the base of the plant, discarding the ones that have gone past. And that leaves this nice rosette in the middle and allows for faster regrowth. So if you've just got a few plants, that can be a good way to keep your harvests coming. However, if you've got a lot of plants like I do here, then just taking the whole plant and cutting and discarding the bad leaves like that and putting that in is a faster way overall to harvest. I've opened up the lettuce tunnel here, and just a reminder that, again, the crop inside needs to be thawed out before you're harvesting. This can happen on a day when it's below freezing outside if it is sunny. Today it's just above freezing right now. Sun's been on these for a couple hours and they're ready to be harvested. So lettuce is not as hardy as spinach, but a lot of these, say 50%, maybe a bit more, have survived. And this is a type of lettuce. Single cut salad heads, or Salanova is one brand of them, and this is Salanova green oak leaf, where you harvest and it falls apart into little leaves, little salad mix leaves. Again, not all of it's in great shape here, but it has survived and it will regrow for another time. So we're going to pick out any that aren't any good and put the good ones inside. And we'll wash this up and have a tasty garden fresh salad tonight for dinner. I'm really pleased with how the lettuce looks, although it doesn't always do this reliably. And I think the reason this year it has done it is we had a really warm fall and early winter. And then the only really time that it has been bitterly cold was a 2-week stretch, and we had a lot of snow. The ground wasn't frozen yet even when that happened. So inside these tunnels, the lettuces were able to have their roots thawed and they were able to make it through that cold snap a lot easier. Now, I've had them survive through the winter one other time, but really it's maybe half the time or 2 out of 5 that you might see lettuces survive into the next year for a harvest, and still not at 100% rate. But, lettuce or salad until the new year, that's good enough, I think. Cilantro is just about as hardy as spinach and is reliably surviving the winters here in these low tunnels, which I'm excited about. I mean, I often think of cilantro as being a summer crop, right? It goes in salsas with chili peppers and tomatoes, but it's a really nice herb to have on hand for all times of the year. So I like having it around. Glad we can harvest some. And the beauty about cilantro from the garden is that when I buy it from the store, this stuff is, got a shelf life of maybe 3 days before it starts to turn to mush. And when I harvest this, in the winter, we get these a warm spell maybe every 3 weeks when I can get into these tunnels and it's warm enough to harvest. But coming out of the garden like this, it lasts in the fridge for 3 weeks. And so it doesn't go bad. I can limp along until the next time I can harvest cilantro again from the garden. But it's just, oh, it's so good. A couple things that haven't worked out or that don't work out in low tunnels. I've got dill planted here and this just melted down. If I wanted this dill, I would have had to have gotten it before, say, the new year. And it's the same over here. I've got these Hakurei turnips, these salad turnips, really tasty things, but they just don't stand, the root crops, they don't stand up to the cold like these leaves do. And so these have just, these are compost at this point. I got a lot of them before the new year. Oh well. Thanks for coming. A few take-home messages. The crops that are going to reliably live through the winter for harvest well into the spring, spinach and cilantro. Ones that'll reliably last until the new year, we've got lettuce, dill, and turnips, and kale. And the reason we have these tunnels up in the first place is if we want to access them throughout these cold months. These can, be mulched or under a blanket of snow and they will survive, but to get to them in the winter and access them whenever you want, these tunnels do a great job of helping you enjoy the harvest all through the winter.